Are they going to remain in center line?
Matt, come,
No, he's in Memphis.
is Clark coming?
So are we just assuming to start? Okay. So we can see. All right, welcome everybody to the airport board meeting. Today is November 14th, 2024. I'd like to begin the meeting by opening it for public comment.
Hi, I'm Chloe Martin. I'm an airport user. I would like to propose that we not demolish the Pilot's Lounge. So I think that it would be great to keep it around as a historical building and have 24/7 access to restrooms and make it a viewing area as people already use it. But once Christian's office is moved, we can renovate it and put some historical stories and things like that up that just help keep the history of the airport alive. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's on the docket, yeah. Okay, thank you. Do we have a review of the minutes from the October 10th meeting? Has anybody had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Okay, first motion by Brad, a second?
Second?
Second by,
Either.
first by Brad. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next one, the financial report. Jordan.
I sent this a few days ago, but then realized what I had sent was a blank document, so I resent it a couple hours ago.
And quickly, just a reminder for those speaking, let's make sure we speak into our mics. We've got a few people online, and the only way they can hear is if we speak into the mics.
And make sure they're on. The main revenue for the airport is the ground lease. So you can see the top two items there, developed ground lease and undeveloped ground lease. So developed ground lease means there's already a building there. It's already been developed. Undeveloped means it's going to be developed. So those are the two biggest parts of that revenue. I don't know if you guys have any questions on the budget this month or on the finances. We send out those invoices for ground lease in December, so it's very seasonal, the revenue for the airport. Yeah.
When is the deadline for getting those back?
We give them 30 days from when we send them out. It seems like we usually send them December 10th, give or take a week. Does that sound about right, Christian?
I'm pretty sure on the invoice, too, they're usually dated January, and they're due January 30th, but we always try and send them out first or second week of December, so there's actually almost a 2-month period to get those returned.
Yeah, and that it's for the calendar year that is coming. So those invoices that hit in the winter are for calendar year 2025. Yeah. But any questions on any finances?
Any questions?
Okay, I'll hang around if you come up with any.
Okay. All right, thank you. Facilities report, Christian.
All right, here's a look at our October operations with a total of 11,175 operations for the month of October, bringing our yearly total to 99,538,000 operations. Update on hangar developments. We've seen a lot of progress on Patey Aviation over the course of the last 2 months. As we can see down at the airport, they've got one of their first hangar buildings going up. We're also seeing progress on the Utah Aviation and General Aviation Development sites as well. Update on our gate access system. Right now, we have sent out our initial information gathering survey. The goal is to have everyone set up in the system before 2025, and then to put the gate system into effect January 1st, 2025. Just reviewing who gets access. Again, hangar owners will have 2 free accesses. Tie-down lessees will have 1 free access. Hangar sublease tenants and businesses is on a case-by-case basis. And then others, again, is on a case-by-case basis if we allow them or do not allow them, and they will be charged a $40 setup fee. For those that have not received that email, there's a QR code for you to scan. We also have these QR codes posted around the airport at the gates. 2 weeks ago, we had Congressman Burgess Owens visit the airport. He did a helicopter tour courtesy of Brad Brown to review infrastructure needs around Spanish Fork and the airport. And we did have a discussion on the airport needs. We sat down and directly requested additional funding for Taxiway Bravo. That project is currently under full design, and we currently have about a third of that confirmed for funding through the FAA. That third is about $2.4 million. So our funding request from Congressman Owens is $5 million. I've been working within the last week or two with his staffers on trying to work out details on that and hopefully make that a reality within the next session with the House. And that's it. Any questions?
On the gate,
Yeah.
have we got the subcontractor all lined up? He's ready to
Yep.
rock and
He'll be
roll?
installing that within the next week.
And is it going to be on both gates?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And all
And-
future gates.
Have you got any feedback? I notice a lot of people use their garage door opener. Is that going to curtail that? Is that going to?
Yes. Yep. Those door openers will be inactive after the gate system goes into effect.
Okay. Thank you, Christian.
Is there anything else being included with that? Is it just a gate upgrade, or is there anything like fence improvements or anything
No,
like that?
next year we're planning on budgeting for a full parking lot rebuild of that main parking lot. That's a little bit contingent upon Utah Aviation's building completion. So we do plan, once their building is complete, to completely redo and expand the main parking lot, redo the fencing, install cameras at the gates, kind of the whole 9 yards for the airport entrance.
Still just having those 2 gates, or
We do have plans in the next 2 to 3 years to put a parking lot and a gate out on 700 West, which is along the back row of the furthest west hangars. And that will be all of the gates that we install on the south side. We'll have several installed on the north side with developments over there.
all right. Next item: Precision Pilot Academy Flight School Business Proposal. Rick Strong.
Those of you that don't know me, my name's Rick Strong. I was born and raised here in Spanish Fork. I came to the airport in 1996. I was 26 years old. That makes being at the airport for 28 years now. It's more than half my life. I've been through several flight schools, Diamond Flight Center, Platinum, and Centerline. Centerline moved out of my hangar last month, and I'm wanting to start a new flight school called Precision and keep going, teach kids how to fly. That's all I got. I think everything's been turned into Christian, all my paperwork and everything's good.
Yep, board members have copies of all that paperwork up in front of them right now.
Is everything compliant?
Everything other than a current bathroom being installed, all the documents and everything has been provided.
The contractors started today on the bathroom.
So, Rick, do you have a timeline yet on when they'll be completed?
He said 2.5 weeks, we'll see.
What do you have to have for a bathroom?
What's that?
What's required?
Just a sink and a lav,
Just a
Would-
single
a sink and a toilet.
for men and women?
No, just a single.
Okay.
And we're going to put a water softener and a water heater in. It's going to be pretty basic, no shower.
ADA.
Nope. Our code currently just says adequate restroom facilities and classroom seating for 5. Those are the 2 facility requirements.
Well, I guess as far as commercial ADA, right? That's outside of what we're required to do, right?
Yep.
All right, so is there a motion to approve?
How many planes you plan to run?
We have 3 DA-20s now, and we're going to purchase a DA-40. So we'll have 4 total.
I'll make a motion.
We,
Oh, go ahead.
can we delay until it's complete, or do we make a motion to allow it when it's complete?
I think we should make a motion to allow it with the caveat that maybe that there's a 6-month or 3-month.
Well, hold on a second, because when Centerline came to the table 3 some odd years ago, and we met down there at the Chaparral, there was going to be a bathroom put in there, and there were 6 months to have that done 3 years ago.
So do we table it until it is done and then approve it?
I think we approve it today. I mean, he jumped through the hoops. He's got his paperwork. He's got his liability. He's got his business, or he's just waiting on for us to approve business license. But I think maybe we ought to put the language or in the motion that we give him 6 months to get the restroom completed. And we have the same problem with Centerline. Centerline's down there putting new restrooms in their facility as we speak with Steve, and that should be done. But they're down there doing business, so.
Okay, so we got a motion approved by Brad. Got a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Got a motion by Brad, got a second by Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Can we make a clarification in there? What is the timeline requirement for the completion of the restroom?
6 months.
6 months, okay.
All right, next one, Comcast fiber line placement request, Adam Slavens.
Hi, I'm Adam
Adam,
with
Brad
Comcast.
Miller, how are you?
Good. This doesn't seem. It's recording though, right? I'm pretty proud of this presentation that I put together. So yeah, if you want to go to the next screen. So we're interested in running fiber optics to the hangars, the existing hangars and facilities at the airport. So first, I'm going to talk about the franchise agreement that we have with Spanish Fork City. And then I'm going to have Chad come up, who's with Comcast Construction, and he's going to talk about the scope of it, kind of a high-level review of the scope of the work. And then I'll come back on and talk about the benefits to the hangars, hangar owners and occupants, and then we'll go through a quick Q&A. So if you want to go to the next slide. The franchise agreement was signed with Spanish Fork City in 2017, and it gives us access to easements and other means by which utilities access properties, so the same rights that utility companies have to access the different hangars and facilities at the airport. We have such an agreement with the city. And then my job, I'm the clerical kind of stuff. I handle the access agreement language that further sets the rules for us to build that out. The insurance, the term, that kind of thing. So I'm going to turn it over to Chad. He'll talk about some of the scope, and then if you guys have any questions on the scope, he can answer that, and then I'll come back on.
Hello, so my name is Chad Tripp. I'm a project manager for the construction department of Comcast. What we have in the area out there is what we call the Utah Inland Port. It looks to be a multi-year expansion project for us, so it's been said to be around 5 years for us to construct. As part of this construction, we are considering wanting to go into the actual old airport location and place our fiber optic in the ground there. The fiber that we're going to be placing, the equipment we're placing there is our latest equipment, state-of-the-art equipment. It's what we're going to for the future. And it's direct fiber straight to the device within the residence, within the hangar for use. What you see, let's go to the next slide here. So this is the layout of the build. You have each of your hangars all the way from 1 out to 120, or I'm sorry, 122. No, it looks like it's more. Anyhow, you can see the red line and the green line that goes through into the hangar. So the starting point is down at the bottom of the screen, which is in red. That is an aerial portion of this build. It then transitions into an underground feed, which is in green. This route that is taken is the same route that is currently utilized for the other utilities that are within the development there, both power, commercial power, and the current provider that's in there. If you go to the next slide, we did a survey, walked the property out. This is just, again, the indicator of what the green line, the running lines mean, and exactly the placement of where these go. As you can see in the pictures, the current utilities are located there, and we would follow the exact same path.
What's your depth?
The depth is around 24 inches
Is it?
is the standard.
Using a conduit and then
Yes.
fill it, or just a line?
We would be utilizing a conduit, a 2-inch conduit, multiple in some of the build there. So again, we follow the same path that's taken so that we can stay within our standards, within the regulations that we're held to. If we go to the next slide, these are a couple of examples of different vaults and enclosures that we place our splicing equipment in. The one on the left is a concrete drivable grade vault, and the one to the right is it's a plastic resin version of the same enclosure. Both have different ratings. The concrete one is one where we would place in a situation in a residence, we would place it where you'd have an RV pad. So if it's driven on, it doesn't damage the vaults. The other use there to the right, that one would be more placed in the area where there's grass or weeds. It's an area that would not be driven on, although it can withstand some pressure from being driven on.
Did they rate it for airports, for wheel loadings?
Yeah, so as far as any of the placement of the utilities would not be in the way of any of your aircraft or any traffic. So all placement would be outside of, more in like a common area, like a grassy area, a location that is not going to be traveled on. They'll be up against buildings, behind sidewalk, just placement.
Left I'm speaking about.
I'm sorry?
The one on the left,
What about the one on the left?
Wasn't that the one you're talking about as well?
Yeah, so that's used primarily in a case where you would have an RV pad at a residence where you could drive a vehicle on top of. I believe that's the end of my slides here. I can't remember if I added one more. Yeah, so that's the completion of what I have to show as far as the overview and some of the vaults and that's utilized in this case.
So this is just to offer another option for the hangar owners, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and Adam can kind of touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so Chad's the one to answer any of the construction questions. So if you have any further questions when it comes to the actual performing of the work, he's the one to ask. But the benefits to the hangar owners once this is in place is we provide speeds a lot faster than what the city network can provide. It's pretty standard that you can get 10 gigs through our fiber lines. In some areas of the country, it's up to 100 gigs. Slower speeds, if a hangar owner really just needs to do email or something simple, then we have slower speeds that are less than the SFNC or CN. We have 99.9% reliability and reliability guarantee. So if we don't meet that 100% level of reliability, then you don't have to pay. So we're confident in our reliability. 24/7 customer service, plus a lot of cybersecurity integration through various different platforms. The X1 video platform with On Demand is also available. Xfinity Mobile, that people can connect to their internet service, voice over IP, phone systems, and security options such as cameras, motion sensors, etc. So just another option for the occupants of the hangars.
Okay.
Can you go back to one of your, I guess the map slide? Right there. So there's a handful of hangars on the field that don't have the ability to have internet access in their hangar. Is there anything in this project that would change that?
So which hangars are you?
I'll give you hangar 68 specifically. Without drilling holes in neighboring hangars to run a line, we can't get internet in that hangar.
So do you
Zach,
see
do you
60?
want to touch on that, Tyler, or Gary, as far as crossing paths?
Oh, so I see. So this, so yeah, with here it's showing that we connect to 67, and he's wondering, can we get to 68, 69, 70 without going through the other hangars?
Right. So just to clarify, so I brought along, so the crew that is here, or our business partners, FiberTel, and they will be the ones constructing the work. So I have Tyler here and Carrie. Tyler's here. Carrie's back here, and he runs the engineering and/or permitting side of things over there. Tyler is one that oversees the construction, the site construction. Typically, what we would utilize, and he can elaborate on this.
Yeah, because what we've been told in the past is we couldn't get a hard line in there without going through another hangar on either side of us. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we're
would be the same thing here unless you was able to run some electrical metal tubing along the outsides of the building, along the
Yeah.
outsides of the hangar.
yeah
If
that's
that's not an option,
Yeah.
it would need to be run through hangar to hangar to hangar.
Starlink. It is.
Yeah. And again, that'll be dependent on the hangars that you're touching. They'll have direct access, but if anyone down the line from them wants access, they'll have to run fiber through their hangar, and you'll have to get their permission to access other hangars down the line.
So that's something you guys would have to look at in your design to see if they could come along the back of the building and come at each one singly.
Okay.
That's always an option.
What are the small pyramids, the boxes?
Yeah, those are splice locations there.
So what's the difference between the green and the red?
The red is, so right now in that particular location, there are poles there. So you've got the round with the X in it. That's an indicator of a pole, which is an aerial.
So you'll go above ground.
We would go above ground there. We could also, if it's requested by you guys, we could go underground with it if it's feasible. And we have done that. We've done that in a lot of cases. So going straight underground is 100% an option for us.
Long-term planning for that area, 5-10 years down the road, we do plan to put everything underground in that area. So that's kind of on the airport's mind and what we're planning on down the road.
Does any of this impact FAA regulations?
From my understanding, no. All of this is on property that has been constructed by private developers, not using FAA money. So no FAA issues or regulations would come into play.
Is there a cost to Spanish Fork?
No.
So there will be no cost to any of the hangar owners as long as they do not connect?
No, sir. This is something that we proactively would construct. And come to think of it too, with the going from hangar to hangar, that we could also look at placing conduits near the locations to where there would be, instead of running it on the outside of the building, there are options depending on situation to where we could potentially run some conduits underground to each of the locations of the hangars, so that we can minimize the look of the hangars and disrupting that by running lines or conduits and things like that. So again, it would be entering from the outside in, but at least it would be buried up to the point where we would have access. We are required to at least start at the power location, which is why we run with other utilities and the power utility. We have to ground and bond and those types of things at those locations. But that is an option.
I see some of the routes, though, that they're going on, through, or under storm drains, too. So that would have to be mitigated.
Yep, and we construct every day, thousands of feet daily. There's a lot of obstacles in our way as we go. A lot of utilities, gas lines, water lines, sewer. We have to work around each of those.
With any of these kind of splice boxes, would you be planning on cutting into any airport asphalt or concrete?
Tyler, do you want to touch on that, or?
Yeah, it'll depend on what existing utilities are in there. So if the asphalt, we have to find them to be able to drill through there, then yes, we'd make what we call a core, the 10-inch circular cut through the asphalt, and we're able to replace that with the same piece of asphalt once we're complete. As far as any pits in the asphalt, it's possible that they would happen, but I can't say yes or no for sure.
So do you fill the trenches with concrete or with asphalt?
Say that one more time.
Going through the asphalt.
We won't
I
trench,
know through
we won't
the
trench
cities.
through the asphalt. It's all directional drill. So what we do is have a starting point. We try and find a softscape spot. We can set the drill up, and then everything is underground. There's no open trench or anything. Like I said, just if there's any existing utilities that we have to cross, we have to make that 10-inch circular hole in the asphalt so we can verify the depth of that existing utility so we don't hit it. Other than that, everything else is with a directional drill. There's no open trench or anything like that.
You fill that with asphalt, the 10-inch with asphalt?
You can replace the core that you took out.
So, yes, we backfill in, so the core drill that he's mentioning to locate utilities, they use a flow fill. So it's like a concrete-based material so that it eliminates any potential for settling. And then they replace the cord section of pavement. They will flow fill that up to that point, and then they'll utilibond that core in place.
I would imagine there are quite a few people who would want internet on the airport. The businesses are going to need internet on the airport. Some of the businesses.
Yeah, this doesn't necessarily change that. It just gives you another option outside of Spanish Fork City, right?
Oh,
Right.
It's an additional. I'm not sure how that is all, like how much they cover, what they provide. We would be in addition to, or the only provider. I don't know what their structure, infrastructure covers in there.
who is there now?
SFCM.
Yeah, Spanish Fork
Yep.
City.
So I have a question. If you said hangar 68 does not get internet, does that mean like all those hangars on the end don't get it either?
The ones in the middle, more than likely, because you have to go through your neighbor's hangar with a wire to
Right.
get to your hangar, yeah.
So
All of them.
All of the hangars don't have it.
Like 78, 79, and 80 would probably be in that group.
Right. And what about all those
And
others?
probably 46 through, yeah, potentially.
No,
So
so
it's just the main.
I'll
those
join that real
main
quick, Stacy. So
front people
I'm
would
hangar
have it.
54.
There was no, internet probably wasn't a thing when those were built, so there wasn't,
I'm sure we'll do
plumbing
better
put
on
in
the
for
new
it,
hangars
right?
on the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay, you
again,
guys
just
hear me?
like I'd mentioned, there's different agreements where we have the ROE that Adam had touched on, and he can answer some additional questions there. But there's certain things that we can look at, and again, there's the potential to where we can place conduits in to each of those locations as a point to to access into those inside hangars to provide services.
And would that just be per request?
More or less, Adam, you can probably touch on that a little more.
I want to confirm what you're saying here. Are you saying that the city network isn't reaching those when you're talking about that?
That's what I was
Okay.
asking.
Yeah. So the way that this was presented to our finance board and approved was as it's shown here.
Mm-hmm.
So we would want to go back because this would add some costs to make sure that we hit each of those other tenants, those other hangars, without going through them, and make sure that it's still is approved on our end, on the Comcast finance end. And then, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I
Kind
was
of,
just
yeah.
curious to see if SFCN is already out there in those, and it sounds like they're not.
Well, no, they are.
On the far end
Yeah,
ones?
I think they are on the newer hangars from 85 and 6 in that row all the way west.
that way,
But it's
okay.
the older portion of the airport from here all the way south where it's
Okay.
touch and go.
Oh, okay.
Southeast corner quadrant, where the red,
Right.
so the Spanish Fork cable's there on the telephone poles that are existing.
Okay.
So how is the city's network reaching all of those? Are they going underground to the newer hangars that you were talking about? Do you know?
Do you know?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
we had them come out and blow a line into one of our hangars.
Okay. Okay. And we can't utilize that
You
conduit.
can,
That's
yeah, it would be accessible conduit, yes.
Oh, it would be.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that wouldn't interfere with our budget then, because
It would.
if it's open conduit that we can use and pull through, then it would be, yeah. So
Okay, no, I was just curious to see how many of them really had
yeah,
internet
yeah.
services.
So are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Can you tell this is my first time ever doing something like this? Well, cool. Well, thanks for hearing us out. Really appreciate it. So we'll take this back. We'll just look at the cost adjustments that we need to make, and then we'll be in touch with Christian maybe going forward. Is that the right way to go? Okay.
Yep. And I would just recommend that anytime there's any asphalt or concrete being touched or cut or anything, you work directly with airport management on where that is and making sure it's okay.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
It may be worth finding out how many hangars on the airport could actually have internet if it was provided through the plumbing and so forth going to them, so they could take advantage of that if it were available. 68 and 69 are good examples. They can't. Internet goes down to just to the south of 70, but without running a line through 70, you can't get it in those other ones.
Yeah.
And you might have that same thing with everything up there on the horseshoe and things like that.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we don't approve anything right now, right? Okay.
All right, FBO, SASO, and landing fee introduction. Christian, back to you.
All right, as the airport's grown the last couple of years pretty significantly, we've seen the need for a lot of new equipment and various things and long-term planning, facilities, things like that. And so these fees are intended to address airport growth, airport needs, and hopefully have these fees tailored to the higher users of the airport versus just base hangar owners or, tie-down owners. So why FBO and SASO fees? One, to compensate the airport for the use of its facilities and resources, to promote fair access to limited space, to cover operational costs, including security, future security upgrades, utilities, and regulatory compliance, generate revenue for needed airport improvements and equipment, ensure businesses contribute to the cost of operating on airport property, and working with FBO and SASOs takes up significantly more time than any average hangar owner or airport user. The proposed FBO fee, so again, to reiterate, an FBO or a fixed base operator is a business providing full aviation services, mainly fueling, as well as maintenance, hangar space on an airport, etc. This fee would be charged annually. For reference, large airport FBO fees typically range from $10,000 to $100,000 plus, depending on the size of the operation, or they can be charged a percentage of revenue. That proposed amount is not finalized yet, but would be towards the low end or below the $10,000 mark. And again, this is just an introduction of these fees. Over the course of the next several board meetings prior to the upcoming fiscal year, we plan to finalize these fees and make those proposals. The proposed SASO fee, again, a SASO is a specialized aviation service operator. It's a business offering specific aviation services such as aircraft maintenance, or flight training. This fee would also be charged annually. For reference, again, large airport SASO fees typically range from $5,000 to $50,000 annually, again, depending on the scope of services, facility use, and agreements with the airport. Other airports also charge either that flat fee or a percentage of their revenue. SASOs, such as flight schools, only contribute to the hangar ground lease fees and tie-down fees. Most of those fees are designed to go directly towards pavement maintenance, nothing else. That proposed fee amount is not yet finalized, but is proposed as a tiered system. So flight schools with 20 more aircraft would have a cutoff, and then between 10 and 19, 3 and 9, and then a limited operations flight schools under 3 aircraft. All other SASOs other than flying clubs would have a flat fee, So if you're a mechanic or another type of business that is not a flight school, you would just be charged a flat fee. And then we would have no fee for independent operators. Most likely we would put jet operators in that category, as well as anyone who just has a CFI or something like that, and they're either working on their plane or teaching friends or family or kids to fly, things like that. Any questions on FBO or SASO fees currently as they've been introduced?
No.
So I read through both the documents, and I see where it references the hangar number. So what we're going to see then is we're going to see first they've got to enter into a hangar lease, and then either do, depending on their business application, do one or the other of these two forms, and then we're going to determine a fee sometime in the future.
Yeah. And I plan to bring the set fees to the next airport board meeting and plan to reach out to each board member individually and get feedback and make sure that we're all kind of in agreement or understanding of where we want those fees to be.
So these two documents, are they pretty well cast in stone, or is there still, are we just reviewing them and then
The
getting-
FBO agreement form, we have had a past form. We have that executed with Utah Aviation at the moment. The only other time we would use this updated form would be with Patey Aviation as they plan to become an FBO within the next year probably. So that one has a lot of red line strikeouts on it. As you can see, the SASO form is kind of a clone of the FBO form, but simplified in a lot of ways. You know, there's not as many requirements for SASOs.
And I have some ideas and suggestions, but I'm not going to bring them
And again,
before the board.
those are
I'm just going to send you an email.
Okay. In future board meetings, we'll plan to present those again and get those finalized and approved.
Perfect.
Are these type of fees used locally or in other airports?
Yes. Yep. There are a lot of other airports, mainly the larger commercial type airports. Heber Airport has them, and I know that Nephi Airport is also looking at implementing them as well.
How about Provo?
Provo has fees. They don't label them the same way. They don't label them a SASO fee. They just kind of have a business fee from what I've understood in communicating with them, but they do have an FBO fee.
Christian, if we did not move forward with these fees, how would we fund the airport, let's say 5 years down the road?
Frankly, I don't think we would.
Okay.
You know, we have a lot of upcoming needs, such as
Right.
additional plowing equipment. The airport footprint has grown so dramatically over the last couple of years, and our equipment, our number of pieces of equipment has stayed the same. And so these fees would go directly towards equipment. You know, within the next year or two, we definitely need to bring on another full-time airport employee to help
Right.
with just the day-to-day tasks, as well as after-hours needs and call-out needs with plowing and other things. And so these fees are designed to go towards the operation of the airport, not just the upkeep of it.
Right. Okay.
Moving on, there's also a landing fee proposal. This is, again, our second year taking a run at this. Vector Systems is the only landing fee system out there that is able to do this accurately with a high percentage of collections. The purpose of this fee would, be to implement a landing fee which provides a fair method of charging frequent and heavy airport users who place the most demand on airport resources such as payment wear and tear, airport management's time, while generating revenue to support the airport's growth. Just a side note, flight training aircraft at the airport do about 80% of the flying. 70% of that is based flight training aircraft, 10% is non-based flight training aircraft. The current proposal is that the first 5 landings per tail number per day are non-billed, and after that, all other landings are billed at a set fee. No delineation between based and non-based aircraft or weight at this time. Any questions?
Is there a reason to give any free passes and not just charge everybody for every landing to take off?
We could absolutely do that. Again, the goal of this fee is to extract the fee from the heavier users of the airport and those that impact the airport's resources and pavements and time more. And so we wouldn't want to discourage, someone who flies once a month or once every 3 months from using the airport because they are really not an impact on the airport.
And again, these fees would also go to those things that you just said, to
Correct.
hire staff, get new vehicles, all the things, okay?
Yep.
Any questions?
No, the only statement I have is I wish that there was some way of limiting the amount of aircraft in the air to permit maybe a safer atmosphere. Because it is, anybody who flies knows how difficult it is to get in if you're coming outside of the pattern. It is difficult.
And I'll add two things there. You know, the first is I'd encourage anybody to come to our airport town hall meeting next Monday. That'll start at 6 p.m. in this room, where we'll be specifically discussing those with our airport consultants. They're developing some procedures and some maps that can be published widely for airport users to use the same type of approaches, departures, you know, patterns, kind of standards around the airport. So I'd encourage you to come then. And I can't remember my second thing.
Will they be published in an airport directory?
I will reach out and request that they are. We will put them on our airport website. I can definitely put that on our AWAS recording. We'll put them out on 4Flight. You know, as many different areas as we can publish them, we'll do. Yeah.
I just want to caution you on your thought there. When we're talking about landing fees, we don't want to get the airport sideways with any potential funding opportunities through the FAA. And so just in your language and in your discussions, be very careful about using landing fees in connection with anything that has to do with number of operations. Landing fees have to specifically be used for the infrastructure of the airport. And if they're used as something to discourage traffic, then we'll put ourselves in a spot where we violate grant assurances, and we don't want to jeopardize funding in that way. So it's a good thought, but let's separate that conversation from landing fees so that we don't create an issue for ourselves.
I think we've talked about that once before.
We have talked about that before, but I just want to bring that up again so that we don't forget and get down the road on something and cause an issue.
Maybe my comment should have been said, perhaps if there is other ways of making the skies safer.
Very good.
Not monetarily, just
operational.
Yeah.
Operationally, and we're working on that too. That's
Yeah.
the purpose of that town hall, and we'll see
Yeah.
what we can do there.
And in conjunction with the town hall and those safety procedures, my second thought was we have applied for the tower program officially, thanks to help from Neil and JUB engineers. Maybe want to give an update on that, Neil, and kind of an expected timeline as well as where we're at with requesting funding.
Sure. So the initial application to become part of what they call the Federal Contract Tower Program was submitted about a month ago. They say it takes about 90 days to get the response back on that. If we're accepted to the program, that starts the clock. You have 5 years to have an operational tower. So there's a lot of work to do if that happens. Right now, there's a lot of excitement about federal contract towers. If you're familiar with the BIL funding, the bill funding that's been all over the world from the infrastructure investment, what's happened there is that they've spread that money across all the airports in the country with a clock on those funds that they have to be spent in 5 years. A lot of airports have not been able to spend those dollars. So the FAA is now recapturing the bill funding that was allocated to the various airports, and they're putting all of that money into the Federal Contract Tower Program. So we think that there will be some funding available to do the projects that will prepare the property and the site and do the environmental work and everything else in order to build a tower. There might not be enough funding there to actually construct the tower itself. So Christian and I have been working on a funding plan for the next 4 to 5 years to to get some additional revenue or some help from the state and some other sources. But it's a piecemeal effort, probably a project every year until we get to the construction of that tower, if indeed it does go forward. If we're not accepted into the program, it's not over. We can reapply and be in line for the next round and continue to push it if that's what the airport desires to do. But we started the process so we could at least put ourselves in position to exercise that option if we should want to do that.
I would be surprised if Provo wouldn't help foot the bill to get some of the traffic away from them.
Maybe. I don't. Has Provo said anything about? I haven't talked to Provo about.
No, they're open to working with us as far as coordinating on certain things, but we've never had any conversations about sharing funding. And I would be concerned that airport generated revenue has to stay at that airport. So that is a grant assurance where you can't spend airport money generated at your airport off-site.
Someone else's airport.
Yeah.
They're protecting their own interests.
But the FAA is supportive of this. We've had 2 or 3 conversations with the staff in Denver. Initially, they kind of said, we're not so sure because there's a tower in Provo. After they went back to their internal programs, they came back to us and said, actually, the powers that be feel like it would be safer for Provo and Spanish Fork to both have a tower that coordinated with each other rather than having one tower and such a busy airport without a tower. So there's support and there's movement and a lot of excitement from the federal side of things too, so we're hopeful.
Are there other scenarios like this, Provo, Spanish Fork?
Not very many. I mean, there's a few across the country, but you guys are unique in your proximity and the way the airspace works here. And part of the reason why we're doing some of this VFR work and stuff is to hopefully alleviate that. But yeah, it's a unique scenario. Does that make you feel good or not good?
Well, it would be nice to work with precedents to understand how things are done.
Yeah. I mean, Salt Lake and number 2 up there have had a similar thing, but they're not quite what you have here with Provo. So, is that what you wanted?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was great. Thanks, Neil.
On your VFR work,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we got your notes.
I know.
Yeah.
So, well, in addition to that,
Okay.
so here in the near future, it sounds like an RNAV approach going into 3-1 into Provo that comes right over the top of us is
Yeah.
going to be really.
Yeah.
Does this incorporate that?
We're showing it and trying to avoid that
Okay.
as much as possible.
All right.
Yes, we heard that was happening too, so
Any airspace changes over us as a result of that?
not that we know of.
Okay.
See it avoided in the clouds.
Okay, item number 8, letter from the board on the new fee proposals.
I don't know if you might mind reading that, Dwayne, and then we could have board members sign that in support of it.
Okay, dear hangar owners and airport users, we are reaching out to inform you of several new fee proposals that the airport board is currently exploring. The implementation of a landing fee and FBO and SASL annual fee is tentatively set to begin July 1st, 2025. We recognize that any adjustment to airport operations can have a significant impact on our community of users, and we want to seek feedback on these proposals. Our airport has seen considerable growth over recent years, both in operations and in the diversity of aircraft and activities we support. With this increase in use, we're also facing new challenges in maintaining the safety, infrastructure, and service standards expected at a modern, busy airport. To address these needs, we are proposing a landing fee structure that would apply after a daily threshold of 5 landings per aircraft. Each tail number would receive 5 free landings per day, and any subsequent landing on that same day would incur a fee. In addition to the landing fee, we are proposing annual fees for airport service providers such as fixed-base operators and specialized aviation service operators, structured to proportionally impact the more frequent users of our airport infrastructure and airport management's time. These fees are structured to focus on higher frequency users rather than specific groups, allowing us to avoid increasing rates for hangar ground leases and other general fees. We understand that changes like these can bring questions, and we invite you to reach out with any thoughts or concerns. Your input is valuable to us, and we are committed to working together to ensure that our airport remains a safe, efficient, and vibrant place for all users. Please provide your feedback in this form, and there's a link attached. Thank you for all your continued support and partnership as we navigate this period of growth at the Spanish Fork Airport. Best regards, the Spanish Fork Airport Board.
I'll send that out for electronic signature tomorrow, and then I'll send that to the entire airport, and we can start gathering feedback on these proposed fees.
Okay. All right, item number 9, are there any other items of concern for the board members from the public? Going once, going twice. Okay, it is 4:50. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion, Claire, second.
Second.
Second, Stacy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.